Welcome to Wednesday's Word of Wisdom. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about the attacks of the enemy, talk a little bit about what we've been going through. Come on back and see what we've got for you. And we're back. So this past couple of days, David and I were sitting, talking, reflecting on all the things that have been happening in our family. And we started talking about the enemy's attack and how carefully plotted it is, how the enemy has targeted us in such a way that it seems customized. It's customized, a customized attack, for lack of a better word. And we were listening to some different sermons, listening to some different speakers. And David, why don't you tell them about the one speaker that you were sharing with me about, and then we'll talk a little bit more.
Okay, a lot of times we like to put all the blame on the devil. Okay, we live in a generation that, well, in the world, not just a generation, but we don't like to take responsibility. So what the premise of what the speaker was saying was, a lot of times it is the flesh and not Satan. Satan may initially have put that thought into our brains at some point, and we have continued to act upon it long after he put it there.
Right.
So it's kind of like when we fall into the same sin over and over and over again, that is what Bishop calls our bent. That is where our flesh is bent towards a certain thing.
Right.
That's not Satan all the time. That is us. We just keep giving in because it's just how we've built ourselves around.
Right.
So a lot of times when we're putting the blame on Satan, it's us. It's our flesh. That's why it says it's either the flesh or the spirit.
Right.
I don't walk by Satan or by the spirit. It's by the flesh or the spirit. So a lot of the things that we have going on in our lives, the problems that we have, they may have been there by Satan. He may have put a little glimpse in there because he knows what can bring us down. But a lot of times it is our flesh.
Right.
It's the way we react to these things.
Yes, absolutely.
Is our flesh. So it says we walk by the flesh or we walk by the spirit. We can't walk by the spirit if we're still stuck in the flesh.
That's right.
So we need to get rid of the flesh, give that over to God, and walk, be filled with, and walk by the Spirit.
Right, absolutely. And as we were talking about this and just discussing back and forth, as David said earlier, a lot of times we are like different soils, right? And so the enemy, he comes and he plants that seed. The problem is that when we're good soil for the enemy to grow his planting, he hatches that plant in that soil. But can you imagine if we're clothed in righteousness, clothed in the word of God, that soil rejects the seed? Now, I try to have a green thumb, and it just made me think of this. I've tried to plant several things and I don't know what it is, but the soil in which, and especially if you bought some cheap soil from a store I'm not going to name, but sometimes the prices are about $1, right? And you buy some soil from there and you try to plant something in there, it doesn't grow. Now, if you go up a notch and upgrade to one of these home stores, right, that have the wonderful soil that you pay more than $1 for, right? And you cultivate it and you put it in, that seed will grow. And so it is with the enemy, right? He comes, he's looking, he goes around like a roaring lion seeking whom he can devour, right? But then he plants that seed, he plants an idea, he plants that distraction. And if we're not the right soil, it won't take root. We can rebuke him as Jesus did when he was tempted. It is written, right? And we reject it. But sometimes, and like I said, he customizes these attacks because sometimes he waits for just the right moment when our guard is down and when that soil now becomes fertile ground for his plan to start to take root and grow in our lives. And as David said, then it no longer becomes the enemy. He just sits back and he watches as you frustrate yourself, as you get distracted. That has been the thing this week for us, is this distractions that have come. And I'm telling myself, y'all. So sometimes I'm supposed to be doing work, right? I've got my computer up, work. Then a notification goes off. And then that one, I'm just going to check, becomes an hour, right, of checking everything else that I had no business to be checking in the first place. And the work is left undone, right? So I have to take responsibility. Yes, that first initial ding may have been the enemy saying, hey, look, get distracted. But for the other 59 minutes, right, that I was distracted was my own self, allowing myself to just get caught up and wrapped up in what I had no business to be wrapped up in.
There's two different stories, and I'm going to try to make this quick. Jesus talks about those four soils as in being good things. There is a good soil that the seed of the word can get into. That soil may be the same good soil in you that Satan uses. Okay? That soil that can just build up and grow can go both ways.
Right.
And there's another parable that Jesus tells about the parable of the weeds and the wheat growing together. And at the end, they will be separated.
Yes.
And the one that outweighs the other is going to be the one that is going to get the glory, basically.
Absolutely.
So if we're letting the seed of both in and we're growing in God, but yet on that other hand, there's still that other seed there that we're allowing our flesh, that weed, to grow up right in between that.
Yeah.
We're not letting the entire spirit in us that we should. So we need to see that weed. We need to see that, and we need to pull it before it even comes in.
Right.
So that seed that God has put into us, and the Word of God, the Spirit of God, the prayer time that we need to be spending with Him, that will grow, and not the other side.
Absolutely.
So that He will get the glory in our lives.
Yes.
And then when we're filling that soil with that, there's going to be no room for Satan to put anything else in there.
Right. Absolutely. Well, we hope this blessed you. Until next time, God bless you and goodbye.